Greetings. In this video, I'm going to go through some of the steps I use to fix this character's facial profile or add facial profile capabilities to this non-standard character using Blender. I'll start by rigging the character with AccuRig, which is a fairly straightforward process. You have nodes or guides that you align to the character, and there's a panel above which reflects where the bone should be. The closer you can get to getting this correct through this process means that there's less touch-ups you have to do later on. Of course, there will always be touch-ups you have to do, weight mapping or skinning, things like that. After you initiate this sequence, you'll notice that there are eye bones and jaw bones and a face bone and tongue bone, I think. And basically, they don't do anything except provide the setup for the process. You'll have to weight map them and group them to or create vertex groups within Blender or another program. Once you bind the bones, you can do a quick test of the animation, see how it looks. That'll be your starting point before any touch-ups. Once I commit to it, I'm going to send the character over to Blender using the Go Blender button, which is that B on the side there, or on the top, assuming you have the add-on installed. Now that I'm in Blender, I'm going to assign certain aspects of his face, his eyes, his teeth, his tongue, and his jaw. I'm going to give them their own groups and weight map, skinning groups anyways. Vertex groups and skinning groups, they kind of go hand in hand. When you select the vertices of an object and assign them to the same name bone, like CC underscore base teeth 02, like, but whatever you assign them in that group is going to be reflected in the weight mapping or skinning. Basically, if you were to select the eye and all the vertices in the eye went to the right eye, that would correspond to the bone of the same name 100%. That makes sense. Like when the bone turns in pose mode, the eye will also turn. The jaw is always kind of a difficult one to master, and I have not mastered it. Basically, I skin it as best I can, or weight the vertices to the jawbone as best I can. And then if there's any issues that I can't correct with just the weight mapping, then I'll just correct them with the facial profile editor sculpting. Basically, the jaw skin weighting and the facial profile editor work together to give you an open jaw or jaw open slider. Now that I've set up the face, I'm going to send the character over to Character Creator using Go CC. The character has an open mouth expression, which is not that uncommon when you're setting up a character. So this character has an open mouth expression by default, which is not uncommon when a character is being set up. So what I'm going to do is just blur some of these skin weights around his jaw to make the transition when he opens and closes his mouth a little smoother. And then I'm going to go into the proportion editor and close his mouth. The alternative is that you have to accommodate every expression around his mouth being open by default. When you go to export this character for setup in Blender for facial profile editing, you have to go to FBX and then select mesh in an expression sequence. Otherwise, it won't send over the data necessary to edit. Now I'm going to give him an expression profile, now empty one. If I were you, I would go with a CC4 standard. You could do a more advanced profile like the CC4 extended or CC5, but those have like 140 sliders to set up, which is for a non-standard character, it can be a little overwhelming. So I'd recommend doing a CC4 standard. The process is relatively straightforward. There's a timeline on the bottom that are keyed to the facial shape keys. Right now they're mostly empty, but you can scroll through the timeline and the character will perform all of those sequences once the profile is filled out. And when you scroll through them, you'll see that like a 1, which is the strength 1, 100%, that'll be illuminated in correspondence with the position on the timeline. As far as I know, the shape keys can only be edited one at a time. And in order to edit them, they have to be at 100% strength. That's represented by 1.000. When you scroll through the timeline, it'll activate them in sequence. You don't have to sculpt them in sequence. You can just click the star button below the shape key. The star function will both isolate the shape key, meaning that only that can be active, and it will also allow you to sculpt on it. Alternatively, you can manually dial it to 1 and then sculpt on it. And then manually dial it down to 0 after you're finished. Now, you may feel confident at this point that you have the process, but unfortunately you do not. The hardest part for a non-standard character is the fact that the shape keys are divided into right and left, and sometimes right, left, up, and down. So you have to be a bit clever in editing them. If your character is very non-symmetrical, that can actually be a bonus, because you won't have to make the expressions even on either side. But if your character is symmetrical or mostly symmetrical, like this one is mostly symmetrical except for the hair. How I go about this is I will sculpt in symmetry on one shape key, like brow raise inner L. On the shape key below it, I will duplicate half of the shape key, which is accomplished by selecting the vertices on half the face. This applies the data of the previous shape key on only half the face, because only half the face is selected. And once that's done, you have to blend out half of the previous shape key, where you sculpted both sides. You have to blend that out with the original shape, which is the basis shape key. It's not really a shape key, it's just where you start out from. It's called basis. I won't lie, it's a bit of a trial. It's a trial just to explain it. So this demo is not really for the average character creator user. It's for someone that's really dug into this process, is committed to learning it, and knows enough about Blender to kind of understand what I'm saying. Character Creator Standard Mesh is much easier to manipulate for the facial profile process, because it's designed around accommodating the symmetry and the rules around that base mesh. Non-standard characters don't have that capacity because every mesh is different. So while you can edit the character creator base mesh pretty much fully within, I don't know, 40 minutes, depending on the complexity of the character, this would take significantly longer. And to get it right, it would take significantly longer beyond even that. So we're looking at a few hours, at least. That said, this is probably one of the best methods of getting facial animation into a non-standard character that I could really imagine. Anything else requires a really complex rig. And this, even though it takes a few hours to really get it right, it's certainly a lot faster than any other system that I know of. Once you have your character filled out, you can export the FBX as a standard FBX. Open up the facial profile editor, edit expressions, and then right there it says FBX with frame sequence. Find your character and import the FBX, and it'll fill out all those slots. And at this point, it's just a matter of correcting things, adjusting, and basically just polishing it up and getting the facial profile to look just right. Now I'm going to use a bit of audio that I previously recorded. It's of a vampire child, so if it sounds weird, that's what it is.
I don't like the suburbs. The grass is too loud, and the mailman smells like fear and peppermint. Why can't we live in a hole? A nice damp hole with lots of worms?
Thanks for watching. This particular topic has been requested for quite a while, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And hopefully it worked out okay and you learned something. Until next time.